How is it that the country that gave birth to the most ruthless dictator in human history, Joseph Stalin, is also home to some of the most tender, polyphonic folk songs that can melt any listener's heart? The answer lies not in history books, but in a land where violence and compassion coexist, where war leaves its mark on the mountains, yet music rises like a prayer. Georgia, where people learn to overcome suffering, transforming it into harmonies, hospitality, and a profound belief in life. Here, hospitality is not a mere social formality, but a fervent belief rooted in the idea that a promised guest is a gift from God. You might be a stranger arriving in the village, but minutes later you find yourself seated among a local family, treated to the finest delicacies from their kitchen. The soul of this connection is the supra, a traditional feast lasting for hours, where food and wine serve only as a pretext for the intermingling of souls. Under the guidance of the tamada, the host, each raised glass is accompanied by a philosophical toast about love, life, and peace. They don't drink to get drunk. They drink to listen to profound reflections on life. In Georgia, the line between strangers and family seems to disappear at the dinner table, where tyrants and wars are merely old scars, leaving only tolerance and an unwavering appreciation for life. The open-mindedness of the Georgian spirit is the culmination of centuries of standing at the crossroads of extremes. Located at the intersection of continents and possessing a vast cultural heritage, Georgia has never truly belonged entirely to either East or West. This land has learned to thrive and flourish within that very intersection, transforming the buffer zone between the two worlds into a unique and resilient space of identity. In a world dominated by Latin, Cyrillic, and Arabic scripts, Georgians possess a completely independent and unique writing system. These characters are not only a tool for communication, but also a work of art with flowing, graceful lines like an ancient dance. Even more astonishing, the country possesses 3 different ancient writing systems, a vast treasure trove of texts recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. For the people of Georgia, the alphabet is the ultimate symbol of national pride. While their geographical location forces them to interact with many civilizations, their writing remains inviolable, a proud testament to the creative intelligence of the Georgian people throughout millennia. Recognized by UNESCO as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, Georgian music is not merely a collection of melodies. It is a complex sonic structure where numerous independent voices intertwine and resonate, creating mesmerizing layers of harmony. Each polyphonic song is a wondrous synthesis of people, history, and national identity. In those rising and falling tones, we hear the echoes of tenacious battles fought to defend the land, the passionate breath of the grape harvest, and the gentle whispers of unspoken prayers. It is music that touches the deepest layers of the spirit, where all language barriers vanish. The journey into Georgia's soul often begins in the high mountains, where the land grows silent and history feels impossibly close. This is Svaneti, a remote region carved by glaciers and guarded by peaks that seem eternal. Reaching it feels less like travel and more like crossing into another time. For centuries, Svaneti was never truly conquered. The steep valleys and rugged terrain prevented empires from dominating, allowing its people to remain largely unaffected by other powers. At the heart of it all lies Mestia, the cultural center of the Svan people, mountain warriors known for their fierce independence. Within Mestia, this history is not left to memory alone. It is carefully guarded inside the Svaneti Museum of History and Ethnography. Behind its stone walls rest icons once hidden from invading armies, medieval manuscripts darkened by time, and weapons carried through generations of mountain life. These objects were not collected for display, but preserved out of necessity, protected here when the rest of the country was vulnerable. Here, medieval towers cast long shadows against snow-covered ridges, and daily life unfolds beneath peaks that have watched over the region for centuries. Beyond Mestia, the road narrows, the air thins, and the mountains begin to close in. This is the path to Ushguli, a place that feels less like a destination and more like a final threshold. Often considered to be the most continuously inhabited settlement in Europe, Ushguli rests at an altitude between 6,800 and 7,200 feet, where winter can last most of the year. Ushguli is not a single village, but a cluster of 4 small settlements: Zhibiani, Chivibiani, Chajashi, and Murkmeli, stretching along the upper reaches of the Nguri River. They form a community recognized by UNESCO as one of the highest altitude permanent human settlements on the continent. At the heart of Ushguli lies Chajashi, the most carefully preserved area, where more than 200 Svan defensive towers rise tightly together. These structures, dating back to the 9th century, transform the village into a living fortress. They were built both to withstand external attacks and as a survival solution against the devastating effects of natural disasters in the highlands. Above the settlement, the Lamaria Monastery sits quietly atop the highest hill. Built in the 12th century and dedicated to the Virgin Mary, it remains the holiest site in Ushguli. It serves as both a religious symbol and a spiritual anchor, helping the Ushguli community maintain their tranquility and steadfastness amidst the majestic wilderness. From the monastery grounds, views extend toward Mount Shkara, creating a rare blend of faith, landscape, and legend. Nearby are the ruins known as the Castle of Queen Tamar, believed to be where Georgia's most revered queen resided during her summer journeys through the highlands. Within the village, a small ethnographic museum houses tools, weapons, and artifacts that shape the lives of the Svan people, offering insight into centuries of survival. Dominating everything is Mount Shkara. Rising to 17,070 feet, it is the highest peak in Georgia and the third highest in the entire Caucasus Range. Its name, meaning 9 in the Svan language, refers to the 9 jagged summits that form a massive wall of rock and ice, known as the Bezengi Wall. From Ushguli, Shkara feels impossibly close, its glaciers glowing in the changing light. Leaving Ushguli, the greatest baggage remaining was the memory of a final frontier of Europe and a profound understanding of authentic Georgia. Nestled deep within the northern Mestia Valley lies Chaladi, a world where the stillness of glaciers contrasts with the harshness of the high mountain terrain. The trail is short and gentle, following the river upstream as cold air drifts down from the ice above. With every step, the sound of flowing water grows sharper until the glacier finally appears, cracked, shifting, quietly retreating. Climbing higher, the journey leads to Lake Kuruldi. This is a conquest requiring physical effort and perseverance. At this high point, the landscape is enveloped in tranquility. The lake's surface acts as a natural mirror, capturing the image of the snow-capped mountain peaks. Tetnuldi appears with a strange symmetry, its four-sided form shaped like a perfect pyramid, sealed beneath permanent snow and ice. This peak marks the far end of the Bezengi Range. where ice gathers and begins its long descent, feeding vast glaciers below. One of them, the Adishi Glacier, flows quietly from Tetnuldi's frozen spine, reminding the valley that everything here begins in the heights. In recent years, life has truly returned to these eternal slopes. The Tetnuldi Resort, which opened in 2016, is a sophisticated blend of modern technology and heritage landscape. Not bustling or flashy, it retains its unique character with architecture that blends seamlessly into nature. The highlight lies in the Poma cable car system from France, operating reliably along 5 main routes, guiding visitors to conquer the vast snow-covered landscapes in the most complete way. The real attraction is the snow. Dry, light, and deep, Tetnuldi's powder settles gently and stays late into the season, often lasting from December through May. The space expands, the atmosphere gradually warms, and the pace of life begins to change. Imereti, a land shaped by the flow of the Rioni River, remains surrounded by mountains and rolling hills. At its heart stands Kutaisi, Georgia's second-largest city and the historical capital of the country's western lands. Long before modern borders, Kutaisi was the center of the ancient kingdom of Colchis. In Greek mythology, this was the destination of Jason and the Argonauts, who sailed here in search of the Golden Fleece. Nestled quietly on the outskirts of the city is the Galati Monastery, a testament to Georgia's intellectual golden age. Begun in 1106 by King David IV, later known as David the Builder, Galati was more than just a monastery. It was once a magnificent medieval academy, a center of philosophy, science, and art, hailed as the Second Athens of the Caucasus. Recognized as a World Heritage Site in 1994, the complex houses 3 main churches: the Church of Our Lady, the Church of St. George, and the Church of St. Nicholas, situated alongside an ancient bell tower and the former Academy Halls. Inside, the gold mosaics and frescoes still radiate a magical glow, reflecting a golden age when Georgians craved knowledge as intensely as they wielded swords to defend their territory. In Imereti, national identity is nurtured by depth of thought and learning, the hallmark of a civilization that confidently connects intrinsic values with contemporary significance. Perched atop Ukimerioni Hill, Bagrati stands as a historical witness, shaping the identity and vision of Kutaisi city over millennia. Completed in the early 11th century during the reign of King Bagrat III, this structure embodies the golden age of the unified Kingdom of Georgia. Despite centuries of war scars, it has retained its status as a spiritual cornerstone of the Imereti region. The massive stone walls and spacious interior create a sense of tranquility, where the powerful past of the kings is reflected in every architectural detail. However, that pride was tragically extinguished in 1692. During the Ottoman invasion, a devastating explosion shattered the entire dome and ceiling, turning the magnificent cathedral into a desolate ruin. In the early 21st century, the cathedral entered a new chapter. A large-scale restoration sought to return Bagrati to its original form, guided by Italian architect Andrea Bruno. Today, Bagrati's turquoise dome catches the light from nearly every corner of Kutaisi. Inside, thousand-year-old stone stands alongside contemporary steel and glass, creating a space that feels neither entirely ancient nor fully modern. Balanced delicately on a rocky cliff above the crimson waters of the Tskalt-Sitela River, Matsameta Monastery feels almost hidden from the world below. The architecture of Matsameta follows the classical cruciform dome design of the Georgian Orthodox tradition. The church is shaped like a symmetrical cross oriented towards the center, where a single dome appears. The most striking feature is the narrow, sharp, conical dome, clad in perfectly matched paving stones that blend seamlessly with the surrounding cliffs. Beneath it, a tall column with narrow windows lets light directly down to the altar. As the sun moves, rays of light stream through the dome, illuminating the interior in fleeting moments. Nestled between the river and the sky, the monastery remains a place of quietude, not grandeur, where faith is preserved through the years. Beneath the gently sloping hills of Imereti lies a stark contrast, the Cave of Prometheus, one of the world's largest and most impressive cave systems. The vast cave chambers stretch out into the natural light, their ceilings undulating. Stalactites and stalagmites rise like traces of time, formed drop by drop in the stillness. What sets Prometheus apart is its modern lighting system, which highlights the contours, emphasizes the depth, and allows the natural forms of the cave to be revealed right before your eyes. Walking along the forest trails leads to Okatsa Gorge, where steel walkways hang precariously on sheer cliffs, suspended in midair, offering a breathtaking view of the rugged beauty of a historical cut that has existed for millions of years. This system of steel and wood walkways clings to the limestone cliff face, suspended 459 feet above the gorge's bottom. With each step along the walkway, a breathtaking view unfolds, encompassing the entire deep blue Okatsi Basin below. Nearby, Kinchka Waterfall reveals itself as one of the tallest cascades in Georgia, spilling over the pale limestone cliffs of the Aski Massif. Water drops in long, uninterrupted lines, carving its way into a series of small emerald pools below. Mist gathers in the air, cooling the surrounding forest and softening the light as it filters through dense foliage. Both Okatsa and Kinchka serve as affirmations of a vibrant Imereti amidst majestic nature. Rising alone in the valley, the Katski Pillar is a monolithic limestone block, standing roughly 130 feet tall, shaped over millions of years by erosion, yet so isolated and vertical that it feels deliberately placed. Locals call it the Pillar of Life, a symbol of withdrawal, discipline, and spiritual ascent. Long before Christianity reached this land, the pillar held sacred significance associated with fertility and renewal. Centuries later, between the 6th and 9th centuries, that reverence transformed. Ascetic monks known as stylites chose the summit as a place of complete separation from the world below. For them, this altitude represents a distance from distractions, noise, and mundane routines. At the top of the pillar rests a small monastic complex. The structure includes a modest stone chapel, a tiny living cell, and a narrow bell tower, all carefully adapted to the limited surface of the rock. Constructed from native stone and rooted directly in the spire, every wall, door frame, and roofline is simplified to the bare minimum. Access to the summit is restricted. A vertical iron ladder, often called the Stairway to Heaven, runs along the mountainside, reserved only for Orthodox monks. For over 2 decades, this vertical passage was the only path leading Father Maxim Kavtaradze, who revived the tradition of the 4th century pillar hermits, to repentance and tranquility. Beneath the stone foundation of the small sanctuary, archaeologists also discovered a crypt containing the remains of earlier monks who had chosen this rocky peak as their final resting place hundreds of years ago. Gone is the tranquil atmosphere of the Katski rock formations. Chiatura emerges as a living museum of the Soviet industrial era, a town nestled between sheer limestone cliffs. In 1879, rich deposits of manganese, an essential component in steel production, were discovered here. Almost overnight, Chiatura transformed into one of the world's most important manganese mining centers, fueling industrial growth far beyond Georgia's borders. While the city grew along the valley floor, the mines were carved high into the surrounding cliffs, hundreds of feet above daily life. The commute for workers between home and work becomes a daily challenge, where distance is not measured in feet, but in vertical heights to be conquered. In 1954, under orders from Joseph Stalin, an ambitious solution reshaped the city. A vast network of aerial cable cars was constructed, linking neighborhoods directly to the mines above. These so-called Stalinist ropeways became the first public aerial transport system in the Soviet Union. For decades, workers have commuted in metal cabins suspended above the canyon. The cable frames are old and worn, but they continue to function with remarkable resilience. Today, the aging cable cars have been replaced by a modern system, with 4 main lines connecting the city center to the elevated districts. Built with contemporary French technology, the new glass cabins move smoothly above the valley, offering safety, reliability, and wide views of the dramatic terrain below. In Chiatura, infrastructure is a record of survival, labor, and adaptation. There are lands that seem to retain the breath of mythology, where life is no longer hectic but slows down like the underground streams. Samagrelo, a land full of mystery amidst lush green foliage all year round. Zugdidi is the administrative and cultural center of Samagrelo, shaped by its humanistic and intimate character. Rather than being defined by magnificent monuments, the city's soul lies in the authenticity of its daily routines and the strong connection between its people and the land of Samagrelo. This is reflected in the character of the Magrelians, a distinct Georgian ethnic group with a strong regional identity. They speak Magrelian, an older South Caucasus language than modern Georgian, preserved primarily through oral tradition rather than written script. At the center of Zugdidi stands the Dadiani Palace, once the residence of the ruling princes of Samagrelo. More than a noble home, the palace functioned as a seat of regional power and cultural exchange. Today, it houses a vast collection of more than 40,000 artifacts, tracing the region's political, religious, and diplomatic history. To the west, Poti opens Samagrelo to the sea. As a historic port city on the Black Sea, it has long served as Georgia's maritime gateway, connecting the interior of the country with trade networks that extend far beyond the Caucasus. At the center of Poti stands the Cathedral of the Virgin Mary, one of the city's most prominent landmarks. Built in the early 20th century, the cathedral reflects a period when Poti was expanding rapidly as a port city and cultural crossroads. Its architecture is distinctly influenced by the Byzantine tradition, with a large central dome and symmetrical layout that sets it apart from the surrounding urban landscape. From its elevated position, it anchors the historic core of Poti, linking the city's maritime character with its spiritual traditions. Right before our eyes, a lush green underground world unfolds at Martvili. The Martvili Gorge was formed by the slow flow of the Abasha River, which has carved deep into the limestone layers of the Aski Plateau over millions of years. The result is a narrow gorge with smooth cliffs, protruding rock faces, and naturally winding waterways throughout the landscape. Sheltered by steep rock faces and sustained by the flowing river, Temperatures here remain consistently cooler, typically 3 to 5 degrees Celsius lower than the surrounding areas. This natural cooling, combined with constant moisture, supports dense vegetation along the canyon walls and riverbanks. Martvili emerges as a lush, tranquil green fortress, preserving the pristine beauty of Samogrelo nature. Along the Black Sea coast, Anaklia represents a distinctly modern chapter in Georgia's development. Planned as a contemporary seaside resort, the city stands apart from older coastal settlements through its scale, layout, and architecture. The master plan of Anaklia was developed by Spanish architect Alberto Domingo, whose vision emphasized openness and fluidity. Buildings follow a futuristic aesthetic, with clean lines and light materials that contrast sharply with the historical architecture found elsewhere in western Georgia. One of its most notable features is the pedestrian bridge spanning the Nguri River, linking Anaklia with the nearby village of Ganmakuri. Built entirely of wood, it is the longest structure of its kind in Europe. The bridge acts as a visual and symbolic connection between modern urban planning and the surrounding coastal landscape. The city reflects a deliberate shift toward contemporary design and future-oriented development. Batumi doesn't announce itself quietly. It arrives with the sound of waves brushing the boulevard, neon reflections sliding across wet pavement, and a sea breeze that softens everything it touches. Known as the Pearl of the Black Sea, this is Georgia's second largest city and the beating heart of the autonomous Republic of Adjara, a place where the shoreline feels alive long after sunset. Here, winters are mild, rarely snowing, while summers are warm but not excessively hot, cooled by steady breezes blowing in from the sea. The subtropical humidity fosters a diversity of plant life not found anywhere else in Georgia. Rows of palm trees line the avenues, their deep green foliage retaining its color year-round, giving the city a gentle charm that softens its harshness. On the riverbank, the statues of Ali and Nino began their slow ritual. Every 10 minutes, the two steel statues moved toward each other, through each other, and continued their movement, an endless motion simulating their unfinished love story and the meeting of Europe and Asia in a single embrace. People gathered in silence, watching the repeating moment, as if hoping the outcome would change, knowing that separation was predetermined in each turn of the cold steel rods. Not far from there is the Alphabet Tower, spiraling like a DNA strand. Standing about 427 feet tall, it carries all 33 letters of the Georgian alphabet along its frame, turning language itself into architecture. At the top, a rotating restaurant completes the circle. offering a slow, sweeping view of the city, the sea, and the mountains beyond. Amidst the sound of waves lapping against the boulevard and the slow rotation of time atop the tall towers, this city leaves a lasting impression on travelers from afar. Deep within the city, Piazza emerges as a tranquil oasis amidst the hustle and bustle of urban life. Upon entering the square, the architecture changes, leaning towards Italian elegance with warm design styles and exquisite mosaics stretching across the walls like painted memories. Nearby, the astronomical clock draws the eye upwards. Built atop the tower of a former bank, its hands move, tracking time, planets, and celestial cycles with absolute precision. People stop, seemingly for no apparent reason, watching the movement, reading symbols they may not fully understand. A short walk leads to European Square, a place imbued with the weight of history, but with lighter steps. At its center stands the statue of Medea, holding the Golden Fleece, an ancient Georgian link to Greek mythology and the long road between legend and reality. In that moment, the European Square is also about the connection between the past and the present, Batumi and the wider world. Tracing back more than 2 millennia, the Gonio Apsaros fortress stands as an anchor of the past, marking the earliest known boundary where the Roman Empire ever set foot on this coastal region. This is the oldest Roman fortress in Georgia, built to guard a strategic corner of the Black Sea coast, where empires once measured distance and control, not miles. Inside the walls, there is space, open ground, worn paths, and the feeling that time has slowed to a careful pace. The stones carry marks of different eras, each layer added without erasing the last. Roman foundations remain visible, while later repairs speak of centuries spent holding this position against changing borders and beliefs. However, what is most striking is the local legend that Saint Matthias, one of Jesus' 12 apostles, is buried here. There are no monuments to confirm this, but the belief persists quietly, giving the fortress a weight that transcends history. Standing inside Gonio Apsaros, there is no sea breeze or city lights, only walls that have witnessed 2,000 years pass, without warning. Samtske Javakheti, a land where nature leaves behind all its splendor to display its most magnificent limestone skeletons. Samtske Javakheti. Akultsika, its regional capital, sits at the center of this crossroads, where Georgia once held the line against invasions from the south. For centuries, Samtske was the heart of ancient Meskheti culture, influenced by Georgia, Turkey, and Armenia. That blend never settled into a single identity. Instead, it yielded architecture that borrowed freely and cuisine that served trade, survival, and adaptation. The most striking impression is Vardzia. From afar, the cliffs appear seamless, then fissures appear, dozens of fissures becoming hundreds. This is a 12th century cave city carved directly into the vertical cliff face during the reign of Queen Tamar. More than 600 rooms, churches, wine cellars, libraries, and living quarters were all hand-carved into the rock. Inside Vardzia, narrow passageways reveal a magnificent rock structure, illuminated by streaks of light filtering through intricately carved doorways. The heart and soul of this place is the Church of the Assumption, with its 12th century frescoes still shining brightly after countless upheavals. The image of the young Queen Tamar perched on the cliff face stands as a historical highlight, bearing the discerning gaze of a ruler, perfectly reflecting the spirit and responsibility of a golden age. Back in Ahaltsika, history gathers itself differently at Rabati Castle. Restored with care, the fortress rises in layers, each one reflecting a different faith and era. Within the same complex stand an Orthodox church, a Catholic church, a mosque crowned with a golden dome, and a Jewish synagogue, structures that once served different communities, now sharing the same ground. The castle's museum quietly fills in the gaps, displaying artifacts from Meskheti that speak of daily life as much as power. Weapons sit beside manuscripts, ceremonial objects beside household tools. Gone is the ruggedness of the southern Rocky Plateaus. Tbilisi, the capital city, possesses a very unique character of its own. Often called the City of Warmth, it sits at the meeting point of Europe and Asia. The story begins in Tbilisi's old town, where the city still retains traces of its past. Brick arches rise gently from the ground, marking the sulfur baths that gave Tbilisi its name. Steam drifts through the narrow streets, carrying the faint scent of minerals that has lingered here for centuries. Above, wooden balconies lean against each other, painted in faded shades of blue and green, their carved details catching the twilight light. From below, the Narikala fortress stands silently. Built in the 4th century, it sits atop a hill above the ancient city, its walls curving along the contours of the rock. From Reich Park, a cable car ride to the hilltop reveals the city stretching out below in a breathtaking panorama. Rooftops, bridges, churches, and glass towers shimmering as night falls. At night, Tbilisi changes tone, but not character. Lights trace the river. Tbilisi looks like a living memory, multi-layered, vibrant, and still retaining its own unique identity. High on Sololaki Hill, the mother of Georgia stands in stillness, looking out across Tbilisi with a presence that feels both welcoming and unyielding. In one hand, she held a sword to deter enemies. In the other, she raised a bowl of strong wine to welcome friends. A quiet gesture, yet it perfectly embodied the Georgian identity: hospitality without weakness. It was not merely a symbol to be deciphered, but the very philosophy of life of this nation. Originally carved from wood, it was created as a temporary figurehead. In 1963, it was replaced with aluminum to endure the passing decades. Then in 1997, a new version emerged, still made of aluminum, but subtly refined and more modern, with an appearance befitting the changing landscape of the capital. From the mother of Georgia's quiet watch, you can sense the rise and fall of eras, the resilience of the city, and the balance it continues to hold. In the heart of the city, near the Puppet Theater, the Rezo Gabriadze clock tower tilts slightly as if caught mid-story. Its crooked walls and whimsical design give it a character all its own, and every day at noon, a small angel emerges to strike the bell. Then there's the Holy Trinity Cathedral, or Sameba, whose golden dome rises proudly above Tbilisi. Even from across the city, it gleams like a constant point of reference. More than just an architectural masterpiece, Sameba is a symbol of the powerful spiritual resurgence of the Georgian people after prolonged historical upheavals. Not far from there is the Georgian Chronicle, often called Georgia's Stonehenge. Massive stone pillars rise near the water, each carved with intricate scenes tracing the nation's history, from mythic kings to modern milestones. Right before our eyes lies an ancient capital, considered a second Jerusalem, where every ancient stone carries within it the sacred spirit from the early days of nation-building, Mtskheta. Once the capital of the ancient kingdom of Iberia, from the 5th century BCE to the 5th century CE, this city now breathes as a place of faith and memory. Long before Tbilisi became the center of power under King Vakhtang Gorgasali, Mtskheta was where Georgia first found its spiritual roots. The city earned its title as the Holy City and is often called Georgia's second Jerusalem. Here in the early 4th century, Saint Nino arrived, spreading Christianity across the region. Her mission led Georgia to become one of the first nations in the world to declare Christianity as its state religion in 327 CE. UNESCO recognized Mtskheta for this deep historical and spiritual significance, preserving it for generations to come. Perched above the town on a rocky hill, the Jvari Monastery of the 6th century overlooks the rivers below. Its architecture is a masterclass in early Georgian church design, a compact cross-in-square structure built from stone with perfectly balanced proportions. The central dome rises above the intersection of the arms, supported by thick walls that convey strength. Light filters through small windows, casting shadows that shift with the sun and give the interior a serene. At the heart of Mtskheta stands Svetitskhovili Cathedral, a monument both grand and intimate, built in the 11th century. It is Georgia's most important church and the second largest cathedral in the country. Its name, which translates to the living pillar, hints at the life, faith, and history embedded in its walls. As we approached the church, the stone structure rose higher and higher, adorned with carved reliefs depicting stories of saints, kings, and biblical events. Legend says that the cloak of Jesus Christ was brought here from Jerusalem by a local Jew named Elias and is still kept inside. Svetitskhovili impresses with its vibrant history, where the faith, legends, and enduring spirit of Georgia converge in stone and light. Nestled along the winding Aragvi River, Ananuri Fortress rises from the hillside, a stronghold of stone that has guarded this valley for centuries. The largest and most commanding of its towers is the Shepovari Tower, whose pyramid-shaped roof marks it as the heart of the fortress. Its name translates to the Stubborn One, or the Unconquerable, a fitting title for a structure that has withstood both time and invaders. Surrounding it are smaller, round and square towers, each offering vantage points from which the entire valley and the nearby reservoir unfold like a living map. At the center of the complex stands the Church of the Assumption, built in 1689, the spiritual heart of Ananuri. Its exterior is a masterpiece of late Georgian stone carving. Massive crosses, intertwining vines, dragons, and mythological creatures are etched in precise detail. From the towers, the view stretches across the Aragvi River, the reservoir shimmering in the sunlight, and the distant hills rolling into the horizon. Along the winding trail, the Gergeti Trinity Church suddenly appears, standing majestically amidst the snow-capped slopes of the Kazbek Mountains. Its stone walls, built in the 14th century, possess a quiet solidity, with domes and a roof that seem to have withstood the test of time. Pilgrims once carried prayers here through blizzards and icy passes, leaving echoes of devotion that linger even today. The contrast between the rugged landscape and the calm, sturdy architecture makes every moment feel both serene and awe-inspiring. The final stop on this journey is Kaket, Georgia's famed wine country. The landscape opens into rolling hills and endless vineyards. In Signagi, the city of love, cobblestone streets wind through pastel houses, and the ancient walls stretch above the Alazani Valley. From up here, the valley spreads out like a living painting, dotted with orchards and farms. Not far away, the Alaverdi Monastery rises majestically in the valley, a tranquil testament to centuries of devotion. However, the true treasure of this place lies in its wine cellars, where wines are aged in traditional Kvevri earthenware vessels, a method that has existed for 8 millennia. Savoring each drop of wine here is not just about tasting a beverage, but about touching the flow of history, where flavors are shaped by the breath of Mother Earth, time, and the diligent hands of generations. Nestled in isolation on desert cliffs along the border, David Garea emerges in absolute tranquility as one walks through narrow corridors and past ancient, fading frescoes on the rock. Amidst the arid and vast expanse of the desert, a place where man and nature find common ground in serenity and reverence. And Georgia is where the boundaries between reality and myth blur. A nation where 8 millennia of history do not rest in museums, but breathe rhythmically in every Kvevri pottery vessel and watchtower reaching towards the sky. Though the journey may have ended, the aroma of wine and the echoes of polyphonic songs linger on.